What's up, YouTube? Franchise Sports TV back again with another video and back again with another top 5 players of all time from every NBA team, including the best player that ever played for them. Now, this list was actually a little bit, I had to think about a little bit longer than usual. The Toronto Raptors only been around since '95, but they have had a lot of players that came through to Toronto and played up there, either from 1 year to 5 years. I don't think there's any player that played for the Raptors played with them for their whole entire career. I don't think there's one person yet, ever. But anyways, as you all know, Toronto Raptors became a team in 1995, right? One of the newer expansion teams in the 90s. They also got their name from, Jurassic Park. Because, Jurassic Park was the thing back in the day. But Toronto Raptors weren't the first basketball team in Toronto. Back in the early stages of the NBA, there was a team called the Toronto Huskies, right? Part of the BA, or better yet, when NBA was known as the Basketball Association of America, but they folded after the 1946-47 season, and basketball in Toronto came back in the 1970s. Briefly, with games played by the Buffalo Braves, now the Los Angeles Clippers. But yeah, it wasn't until '93 where they decided, we're finally going to put a team up there and we're going to name it after the Velociraptor from Jurassic Park. Well, not the Velociraptor from Jurassic Park. Let's just say they was influenced by it. But anyways, a little history of the Toronto Raptors, just a tiny bit. So this one was, like I said, this list was kind of had me confused at first what I was going to do. There's so many people, like for every team, there's so many people you can put on there, on that list, the top 5. And this list goes by, most of them my list go by whoever I forgot what I was going to say. Whoever actually contributed to the team, meaning how they contribute to the team, their legacy for the team, and also the players' individual legacy as well. So far, I also have done so many teams. I'm not going through all those teams. I did half the league already. I still got more. I didn't. No, I'm not going through those. Already a lot. So I'm just going to get started because I don't want this video to go too long. Some of these videos have been going way too long. But at the center position, well, maybe you might see it. But at the center position, I will put Marc Gasol on there. I know there's plenty of other people you can put on there. But at the center, as a center for the Toronto Raptors from, what years did he play from again? Actually only played with them for a year. I think they got him mid-season, actually. But the reason why I put him on here, let me say they get a mid-season. I thought they got a mid-season. They got a mid-season on February 7, 2019 in exchange for CJ Miles, Jonas Valanciunas, and Delon Wright at a 2024 second-round pick. But the reason why I put him on there, because I actually watched this series, I think without Marc Gasol being on this team, I don't think in 2019 the Toronto Raptors would have got as far as they gotten. Yes, Kawhi played out of his mind, but at the same time, you got to look what Marc Gasol did. He was checking Joel Embiid. He made it a little bit difficult for Joel Embiid. He also made it difficult for Giannis too when they got to the conference finals round, because I don't think if they don't have Marc Gasol for that round, especially, I think the Bucks would probably actually end up winning that series. Because they did create that stupid ass wall around Giannis, which he now has overcome. People don't want to believe it or not. He's overcome it. You can't really put a wall on him anymore. But yeah, Marc Gasol is one of the reasons why they was able to beat the Sixers and the Bucks and get to the finals. So I'll put Marc Gasol on there. It's very brief. I know it's only been half. It was half a season. Probably the only player I put on there played for half a season on there. But you got to remember, Marc Gasol was also at one point in time a defensive player of the year, one defensive player of the year as well. I think it was 2013. So Marc Gasol at the power forward position. I just recently talked about him in the video. Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh came out at the tail end of the Vince Carter era. He was picked. What was Chris Bosh picked? Picked 4th overall in 2003, and he didn't. I would say didn't have instant success with the team. It took him 2 years. I think it was 2 years before they got to the playoffs. Let me be sure. I think it was 2 years before they actually got to the playoffs. Yeah, I think it was the 2006-2007 season. They actually got to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. But I don't think they couldn't get out of the first round. But Chris Bosh years during when he was in Toronto, he progressively improved each year scoring wise, accumulating double doubles, averaging double doubles. I think he averaged 3 times in Toronto a double double in rebounds and points. His best year in Toronto, points wise and rebounds wise, it was actually his last year in Toronto, which they didn't do anything. He went 24 points and 10. And he was also a defensive anchor as well, but they never really built a capable team around him as well. So if you're that weak in the East, that means your team was just trash. But Chris Bosh, before he went to Miami, he was legit. So let's see. He was also a Olympian with the Toronto Raptors. Let's see here. From at least 2006 to 2010, he was an All-Star with the Raptors. He is an 11-time All-Star. Got the NBA second team 2007, NBA All-Rookie first team 2004 with him. So it's unfortunate that he couldn't get anything done there. I think I wanted to say this in my last video about Chris Bosh. I think if he would have stayed and let DeMar DeRozan develop, because I think they only played with each other for at least a year or so like that, because I think DeMar DeRozan was drafted in 2009. So that would have been the 2009-10 season with Chris Bosh last year. But they would have at least let him develop into the player that DeMar DeRozan is. Maybe they might have did something that Chris Bosh never left for Miami. But no shoulda, woulda, coulda here. It is what it is. And Chris Bosh went to the Miami Heat in the 2010-2011 season and got his 2 rings. So Chris Bosh at the power forward position. Oh my goodness, small forward position. I had to put him here. He's already been on the list, but you gotta think. I know, like I said, my list is only in my opinion. You guys can think differently, but Kawhi Leonard I had to put at the small forward position. Yeah, you could have put Vince Carter and T-Mac. But the reason why I put Kawhi Leonard, because like I said, with Marc Gasol, without Kawhi Leonard, they ain't getting no ring, of course. They ain't getting nowhere close to being the championship. They're in the same old. And here's the reason why. Because as soon as they traded, well, I would say soon, but yeah, you could say, as soon as they traded DeMar DeRozan for him, they instantly got a finals team. Kawhi Leonard, as we all know, only spent 1 year with the Toronto Raptors. He only played, let's see how many games he played with them. With the Toronto Raptors, he only played 60 games with them. 60 games, but averaged 26 and 7 rebounds and 3 assists and 1.8 steals with them in his only year with them. His playoffs is crazy. Playoffs is even better. In 24 games, he averaged 30.5, 9 rebounds, almost coming close to double-double, 3.9 assists, and 1.7 in steals. Yep. He did not get All-Star. Did he get an All-Star with them? Yes, he did get an All-Star with the Toronto. I don't think he played. Maybe he did play. I don't remember that game. I barely watched the All-Star game. He got on NBA second team with the Toronto Raptors as well. And second team, defensive second team. Of course, we all know he's part of that 75th anniversary team as well. And he also got a ring with Toronto as well in that only 1 year. He probably had one of the best individual runs in a playoff run in history. People was equating that to almost Jordan-esque. As we all know, he hit that legendary shot against the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 7 of the semifinals that year. But yeah, I had to pick Kawhi Leonard there. It only makes sense. I'm sure you can put some other people in that small forward position. But anyways, moving on. At the shooting guard position, Vince Carter. Vince Carter is synonymous with the Toronto Raptors. You think of those, they pinstripe jerseys with the jersey with the Raptors on them, and also the jersey that was black in the front and purple on back, which I do have. Vince Carter, as we all know, I recently did talk about Vince Carter and his time with Toronto. For a couple years, he was probably one of the top 5 players in the league when he was on Toronto. Just missing the conference finals in 2001 by almost an inch. If he would have made that shot, he would have been in the conference finals playing against the Bucks. I think the Bucks would have probably beat Toronto. But alternative history there. I don't want to talk too much about Vince Carter and what he did there. I think we all recognize what he did there. I got a video on what he did there as well. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on him. At the point guard position, you can put a point guard. There's never really a standout point guard that they really ever had. Like, most people think Damon Stoudemire, but I had to put Kyle Lowry on there. Kyle Lowry also contributed to the 2019 finals run as well. Kyle Lowry's probably played longer. Let me see. I don't think he's the most longest tenure Raptor on there. Maybe he could be. I don't know. But Kyle Lowry played on the Raptors from 2012 to 2021. He was actually drafted by Memphis in 2006 draft, first round, 24th overall pick. Bumped around the league, went to Houston, played there 3 years before he went to Toronto. I think, if you think Kyle Lowry, you probably think he's tied with the Toronto Raptors more than anything. I don't think people really have too many images of him playing with Houston and Memphis. He didn't really do too much with Memphis, or to be considered to be part of Memphis. But anyways, in his years with the Toronto Raptors, playing alongside DeMar DeRozan, there was a playoff team, but they couldn't get past. Either it was Washington and Cleveland as well. Like I say, he's a champion. NBA 13 one time in 2016. He didn't get any All-Star until he got to Toronto as well, starting in 2015 and going all the way to 2020. He hasn't been there since. All-time leader in charges drawn. All-time, but this is what he is. He's an all-time leader in assists, all-time leader in triple-doubles, 16. He has 16 of the 30 triple-doubles in Raptors history. All-time steals leader and all-time leader in three-point field goals. So those are the records he holds with Toronto. His years in Toronto was probably his best years. Not a big time scorer, but he was a point guard. So he didn't score too much. His first year there, I think he got better with Toronto. His first year there, he only averaged 11.6. But his second year, 17.9. Next year, 17.8. Next year after that, 21.6. His best year was actually in Toronto, the 2016-17 season. I think they played my Bucks that year. Averaging 22.4, 7 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. His best year in assists was actually when he won the championship, 8.7. And we all know when he got to the playoffs as well, Kyle Lowry was known as a choker when he was in Toronto during the playoffs. He always will have terrible games. I remember that now. His best playoff run in Toronto was actually 2014, averaging 21. Kind of took a small of a back seat when Kawhi got there in the 2019 playoffs. But as we all know, he's now in Miami. I don't know how long he's going to be in Miami. I don't know how long he's going to play. He is itching up there in age. 37 now. But at the point guard position, Kyle Lowry. Now, there's plenty of other notables, honorable mentions we can put. You can put Damian Stoudemire, Marcus Camby. I think he only played there for 2 years. Hakeem played there. Mark Jackson, Dale Curry, Mo Pete, Morris Peterson. I think Peja Stojakovic. So many people. DeMar DeRozan. Gotta give credit to DeMar DeRozan. Of course, Pascal Siakam. I'm trying to think of one more you put on that list of honorable mentions. I think Jose Calderon, Jason Capono. So many players you can put on there. But let me count the starting five again. Did I say T-Mac? I think I said T-Mac. Ray Frost. Let's keep going on. But at the center position, Marc Gasol, Chris Bosh, Kawhi Leonard, Vince Carter, and Kyle Lowry. I wonder how that team would put up against the other top 5 teams. Now, the best player to ever play for that team, you could say is Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, maybe it is Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, it is Kawhi Leonard. Oh, well. It's Kawhi Leonard. You know he played there for only a year. I think he just edges out Vince Carter. But in terms of nostalgia and the history of the Toronto Raptors as well, you gotta say Vince Carter. But anyways, those are my 5. Tell me what you guys think.